Now I'd like to open up this Auburn Water and Sewer District Joint Budget Workshop. This is scheduled to go from 5:15 to 5:30. Something we do every year is bring both boards together and go over some of the budget highlights and look at some of the joint accounts so everyone makes sure we're on the same page. So some of the highlights for this year, as in previous years, we do have conservative revenue estimates for both districts. We assume flat revenue for 2023. I will say on the sewer side of things, we're assuming a higher revenue than last year because we did put in our 9.5% rate increase November 1st. So the sewer budget does reflect the assumption of a 9.5% increase over last year's revenues.
Is the Poland project going to add? Did that finally go online, the Poland sewer line?
Yes, that will. But again, that's not. We just took last year's year-end number and added 9.5% to it. But you're right. I mean, any new customer we bring on should add to that bottom line. And we try to keep that number conservative because it just looks better for the budget. We certainly hope we'll have an increase in revenue, but it's not budgeted in, if you will.
All depends on the price of screwdrivers.
That's right. Well, if they flush one down the toilet, maybe not.
Most of the individual operating accounts are based upon a 3-year running averages unless we have more specific information available. The year 2020 kind of was an anomaly, if you will, because of the year that COVID was here. So a few of the accounts did not account for 2020. We went back to a year where the expenses were more reasonable based upon what the individual item number was. Another exception to that on the water side is some of the accounts we know are going to be a little different that we have relied on past, like chemicals, for instance. We do know that next year is going to be a rough number for chemical treatment, so that is reflected in the budget. Health insurance for this year, there's no increase in health insurance over 2022. We're going with the same provider, the same plan. That was a real fortunate thing for us. If we had stayed with the main municipal insurance, I believe they came forward this year with it was a 4.5 or a little more, 4.7% increase on the health insurance, and the same thing last year. So this health insurance that we have, as you know, we have it's through Cross Insurance, and it's really paid off for us for the last several years. There was no increase last year, no increase this year, and we also were able to realize some benefit back. We didn't expend all of our policy, so half the savings of that came back to us as a credit. So that's worked out really well. We still fund a HRA that covers all deductibles and co-insurances, and as you know, we've kind of taken a gamble by funding that. We fund a certain percentage of it, but we've got good numbers on how that tracks, and we feel comfortable that continuing to do that at a certain percentage will still save us money. So it's worked out well. This year in this budget, we are implementing a new wage study that was done through Maine HR Consulting, so we're looking to adopt that in this current budget. The cash on hand for both districts are at a healthy level. As you know, as I mentioned before, we did put that rate increase in on the sewer side. That was mostly to cover the cost of a storm surge tank, but also to get our operating expenses up to a healthy level. On the water side of things, we are looking again at a healthy level of capitalization there as well. There are no proposed rate increases for either district in 2023. These are, you've all seen this, but this is the, I always bring this up because this shows what equipment we're buying and the share that each district is going to be paying towards it. We're still in the process of paying off the large dump truck that we've got. That's a shared expense. The next 4 items are all water. We're replacing batteries out at the uninterruptible power supply units out at the UV plant. Those batteries have to be changed out every so often, and those are due. Most of you have been up there, and that, as you remember, that's a whole big room full of batteries, and those do need to be replaced now. And half of that's being paid for by the Lewiston Water Division. The next few items are all things up at the UV plant: sampling probes, chlorine analyzer, at the chloramines facility. We're purchasing a freeze machine. There's a GPS unit that is going to be a shared expense. A locator, some miscellaneous shop tools, those are all going to be shared expenses. The Washington Street pump station design, that's obviously a sewer expense. We're going to do a study on rebuilding that station. And also upgrading our primary logic control system. Upgrading to our SCADA system, that's a shared expense. Down below we've got the office and administrative expenses. There's going to be, most of those are shared expenses. We've got 4 computers. We're looking to change out, every year we have our computer system inventory. We like to change out a few every year just to make sure we don't have a large expense all at once. Looking at getting some new office furniture for a few people. Looking to a new module on billing software for our work order system. Looking to make some UV building plan improvements. Half of that's going to be charged to Lewiston. And we're also going to be looking to design our equipment garage. I don't know if you've noticed when you came in, but that building next door is gone. We demoed that in-house, and now it's a nice flat lot. So at this point, we're ready to go forward with a design. We're not looking to fund the actual building this coming year, but having a set of plans in hand. I assume in the coming years we will be applying for some of the Build Back Better money that the feds have, either through the clean water side of things or the drinking water side, and hopefully getting some construction money available for building a garage. That remains to be seen. Historically, that hasn't rated high on their list, but there's always hope. If we have a set of plans, shovel-ready plans, all set, that might increase our chances of getting some funding for it. So, something we're hoping to do next year.
On that design, is the foundation something that we could be done in-house prior to the construction, or would that need to be part of, do you think, part of the actual construction?
That remains to be seen. We probably could. We probably could do a lot of stuff in-house that might really reduce the cost. And that might be one of the things, yeah, we could certainly dig the footer out to have that put in. That might save some money. But that's all going to be something that comes
Thank you.
down. Yep. So looking at the sewer district, some of the plans we have for 2023 and beyond. In the process of developing plans for the stormwater surge tank at the treatment plant. As you know, that's something that's moving right along. We took out a $4 million bond earlier this year to pay for the upfront cost of our share of that tank. We're paying for 30% of it. Lewiston's paying for 70% of it based upon the wet weather increment flow. So that is moving ahead. Going to have a a design build bid going out soon, and they're gonna look at starting to construct that tank. It's gonna be a 2.1 million gallon tank. Originally, they looked at putting in a 3.1 million, so I think the engineers who are doing that have done a good job at getting that to the right size. It doesn't look now like that's gonna be as large a financial burden on the district as it did initially. That's a very good thing. They're gonna be applying for some of the state money as well. Hopefully they can get that with some principal forgiveness, and that's not gonna impact the sewer district too bad, but that remains to be seen, of course. We're gonna continue to eliminate infiltration and inflow sources on our collection system. Next year, as you know, the big one coming out is the high school, the existing high school. When the new one goes online, they're gonna demolish the old high school, and there's a lot of stormwater that's going directly into our sewer system. When that's gone, it's gonna be very interesting to see how that affects our share of the flow that goes to the treatment plant. As I just mentioned, plan for a new equipment garage. We're gonna continue to replace and reline our aging sewer lines. As you saw from the capital plan we have, that's something we're gonna continue to do, either relining it, pipe bursting, or wholesale replacing it. There's gonna be a combination of all three moving forward. And we are planning for the replacement of the Washington Street pump station. You just saw that in the equipment budget. Actually, it's on the capital plan. That's a very old pump station, but it's going to be also very expensive to replace. So that's simply not going to be a dig and replace it. That thing has to be designed because it's a large, major pump station. So it's going to take a little time to get together. On the water side of things, we're going to continue to budget for 2 miles of pipe replacement in 2022 and beyond. We are down to the point now where I think we have, I haven't checked it recently, but I think we're down in the low teens for the mileage of cast iron pipe that we still have in our system. We are gaining on it. As you know, the goal is to get rid of all that cast iron. Every time you see a main break, or at least 9 times out of 10, when the breaks occur, it's on the unlined cast iron line, the real old stuff. It's very strong, but it's also very brittle and subject to breakage. As with the sewer department, it's a joint project, so planning a new equipment garage. As I just mentioned in our last trustee meeting, the raw water quality issues must be addressed. The lake is a very delicate thing. There's always a lot of things going on in the lake. It's very subject to a lot of pressures. If you get a large wet season, temperature changes, early ice out, late ice on, all things that affect the lake. So I think next year is going to be a very interesting year for the lake and what we need to do to keep it healthy. Supply shortages and price increases for pipe and treatment chemicals will provide challenges. As you know, in the budget this year, we really had to ramp up our budget for treatment chemicals. There's a lot of shortages of those. Chris Curtis, our lab manager and treatment director, has spent a lot of his time on the phone trying to secure chemical supplies, and it's been very, very tough. I think it's going to continue throughout the year. It's a nationwide problem. Ongoing litigation and watershed development issues will continue to play out. That's going to still be an issue, and a lot of things are going to be on hold, and we're not going to have a lot of direction until some of those issues are behind us. So that is another thing that's going to shape the direction of the district in the coming year. And the issue of cost apportionment with the city of Lewiston, that was in there last year, and it's in here this year. That hasn't completely played itself out, hasn't really been addressed fully until the previous issues are worked out. But those are all things that I think are going to affect the water district in 2023. And that's all I've got. It's 5:30. How about that? If anyone has any questions, but that's all I've got for the joint meeting, just kind of going over some of the things we're looking at. So unless anyone has any questions, comments, I guess that's it for the workshop. Anyone?
I'm good.
So, moving in, it's 5:30, moving into the public hearing, every year I present a overview of the budgets. If there's anyone here from the public that's interested in the budget, I see nobody here from the public. I don't know if we want to have both boards open up the public hearing and close it.
Good with me.
That's fine with me.
All right, so we open the public hearing, close it?
And we will do the same.
Make a motion to close the public meeting.
On the sewer side.
We have to actually vote on the budget side.
Yeah,
Oh,
after the
that's-
public hearing.
After the public hearing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I don't think, we don't have to make a motion on that, do we? What?
No, not that.
Okay, good, well, all right.
You don't need to approve the budget?
Yes, that's
No,
the
that's what we
next.
need.
Okay, yeah.
So what we normally do is, sewer wants to go first. Yeah, you've got the total
Yeah.
amount there, so.
I would entertain a motion for the sewer budget of $3,969,788 for the coming year.
Second?
I second it.
All those in favor? So we will
Okay, thank you.
close the vote and move on to the water.
Okay, so I make a motion that the water department approve the budget of $3,700,984.
I'll second that motion.
Okay? All in favor? All right, it passes. And I will close our special meeting, our adoption.
So I would move
Make a
to
motion to
adjourn.
I
Motion.
second that?
All in favor?
All in favor?
So done, another year.
Yeah, we didn't need to do water and sewer on that, that was one.